Well, hello and welcome to the 1 Minute Apologist. My name is Tim. The 1 Minute Apologist is Dr. Bobby Conway. I'm doing something a little bit different right now. We are going to be testing out some live streaming stuff. So this is a way that we can test it, make sure that it works. As you can see, I'm a little bit late getting started because I was trying to get all the different inputs correct and make sure that everything is working right. So now I think we have it up and running, and that's great. So leave me a chat in the box right now if you're watching. There's a few people watching here, so say hi and let me know that I can see you. I'm also going to be uploading this to our weekly podcast, so if you missed it or if you're listening to it on the podcast, hello podcast listeners. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be giving my top 5 videos that 1 Minute Apologist has released in the last year, since the beginning of 2019. And we've had a number of great videos, so to be honest, this was pretty difficult to narrow it down to my top 5, but I think I got all 5 of them ready to go here. The first one is going to be from Alisa Childers, and she was the lead singer from Zoe Girl. Bobby talks about this in the video, but he asks her the question, is the atonement, is the death of Jesus Christ on the cross cosmic child abuse? And so when we filmed this, I thought it was a really great question. I thought her answer was really awesome. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and watch this video. Here we go.
Well, I am so excited to have Alisa Childers with us on the 1 Minute Apologist. We are at CIA Cross-Examine with Frank Turek in the ministry here, and she has been brought on our team faculty, and we're just so thrilled to see what God's doing in her life. Some of you might remember her name as the Dove Award-winning artist for Zoe, or maybe some of you Greek fanatics will say Zoe Girl. And it's good to have you on the program. I'm just so excited that we're doing ministry together here and equipping future apologists.
Well, I'm glad to be here. And you know, the 1 Minute Apologist was one of the resources I used when I first started studying apologetics. So it's exciting to be here.
So we love that, the little plug right there. Well, we're going to be asking you a series of questions. And the first one I'd like to ask you is the atonement cosmic child abuse?
This is an objection that I come across a lot in my work with progressive Christianity. And the idea is that to think of the atonement as God requiring the blood sacrifice of his son Jesus, well, doesn't that make him some kind of cosmic abuser of his own son? And so I think that to untangle this a little bit, we need to think about a couple things. The first thing would be that sometimes there's a misunderstanding of what we mean when we talk about the wrath of God. And I think the reason that misunderstanding is so prevalent is a lot of people have had abusive fathers. And so they're conflating the holy and just and controlled wrath of God for sin with the abusive and petty and impatient and sinful wrath of their own fathers. And so they apply that to God and think, well, that couldn't be. But when we talk about the wrath of God, the Bible uses the metaphor of a cup, that it's a cup that Jesus drank for us. And the reason the wrath of God is something we can actually be thankful for is because if God doesn't have wrath for sin, if he doesn't punish sin and bring justice to that, then when we're all together in the new heaven and the new earth, then it'll just be another version of hell if sin is in that world. But the new heavens and new earth is really a way for God to quarantine those who have put their trust in him away from all of the evil and the suffering and oppression of the world forever. And so in this way, Christianity doesn't just give us an answer to the problem of suffering and evil, but we have a God who actually became the answer himself, which leads us to the second misunderstanding with this objection, which is that somehow Jesus was this hapless victim that was just standing by being tortured against his will, when in reality, because we know that Jesus is God, again, God put on flesh, stepped into creation to experience that and take that punishment upon himself. And I think for those of us that really know the depth of our own sin, this becomes really, really good news. And we know that Jesus willingly laid his life down. It's why he came. And that's why we find so much joy in the gospel.
Okay, well, if you're just tuning in with us, we are doing a live broadcast for some testing purposes. So this is primarily a test, but we wanted to make sure that I had the chance to give you my top 5 videos of 2019. Again, I'm not taking questions today. I'm not the 1 Minute Apologist. I am the executive producer for the 1 Minute Apologist. My name is Tim Hall. This year in 2020, we are going to be doing some new live streams where Bobby's answering some questions, and so we wanted to make sure that we had that up and running. So we thought we'd take the opportunity right now to just do some testing. So let us know how you like it, and we're trying to continue to work out some of the bugs and make sure that we get everything kind of working just nice and smooth. So as we continue on to the year and we're doing our live streams, they're great. We're going to be having on some guests where we're asking them questions, and Bobby will be doing a number of live streams throughout the year, and we'll have more information about that on our Facebook page and also here on YouTube and with some of our other shorter videos. So with that, the first video that I picked, number 5, was Alisa Childers, Is the Atonement Cosmic Child Abuse? The second video of mine, number 4, if you will, the top videos of 2019, is David Wood and Bobby talking about whether what's the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath. So here we go with that.
Welcome to the 1 Minute Apologist. Bobby here, and excited to have David Wood on the program with Act 17 Apologetics. David, just so thankful for your work. You're doing a great job out there, and we just love you and your ministry, and just thankful to have you on the program. Look, you've been very open about your testimony, your story, how God saved you in prison for attempting to take the life of your father. And we appreciate that vulnerability, that transparency, that you're willing to talk about this. I think one of the things that it leaves questions, and I think that we'll be able, in a string of videos, be able to help people to understand how this fits into the moral law. But help us to understand kind of the difference first of a sociopath and a psychopath.
Well, the terms are often used interchangeably, and for years I've used them interchangeably, but there is a distinction. There is a technical distinction. They both fall under the umbrella of a disorder called antisocial personality disorder, which I was diagnosed with that when I was 18 years old, but they don't tell you what that is. So when I saw it, I just thought, okay, they're saying I'm antisocial or something like that, or I don't get along with people well. That's true. I don't always get along with people well. So I didn't know how severe that is. It wasn't until years later, after I had gone through mental hospitals and jails and prisons and was in college taking a psychology class, that I was actually reading about this. And I was like, whoa, that is like a perfect description of my life. So antisocial personality disorder, it basically means you don't form normal emotional attachments to people generally. You lack empathy. So when people are going through stuff, it affects normal people. It doesn't affect you. People who have this generally don't respect the rights of other people, don't have any respect for the rights of other people or their feelings, things like that. And so they can end up getting in a lot of trouble. But here's where the distinction comes in. The classic saying is a hot-headed sociopath, a cold-blooded psychopath. And so the sociopath is generally hot-headed, easily irritated, violent outburst if someone annoys him, has trouble holding down a job, can end up as like a social outcast and so on. Psychopath, more cold, calculating, manipulative. Psychopaths will generally learn to mimic other people's emotional responses so that they can blend in. And so sociopaths are considered to have a less severe form of antisocial personality disorder, but they're easier to spot because they end up flipping out over things or not being able to hold jobs, whereas the psychopath will actually blend in, so they're kind of harder to spot.
Wow, thanks for sharing that distinction.
Okay, like I said, we're doing some testing, so it's a little bit skippy as some of you are giving us some feedback here. We appreciate that feedback, and we're working on it. So we have to probably adjust some of the settings here as we go, so bear with us as we do that, and hopefully it'll clear up a little bit. So if you're just tuning in, this is primarily a test of our live stream. We're going to be doing some live streaming in 2020. I'm not Bobby Conway. I'm Tim Hall, the executive producer. We're going to be going through my top 5 videos of 2019 here, kind of playing some of them back and giving a little bit of the stories around them. And like I said, this is primarily some testing. So keep giving us the great feedback that you're saying in the chat there as we move through some more of these videos. So without further ado, we are going to play video number 3. So number 3 on my list to my top 5 is, this is a question that happens a lot when people are talking about doing apologetics. It isn't just about knowledge and getting more and more intellectually, just strengthen your intellectual so that you can plow over people and arguments. And that's not what apologetics is about. There's some specific verses that people use when they're giving that objection about why we shouldn't be doing apologetics, because knowledge puffs up. And Bobby deals with that right here in this next video. So the next video, Bobby, one of my favorite videos, this is number 3 on my list, is Does Knowledge Puff Up? Here we go. So again, keep giving me some feedback in the chat there about how smooth or choppy it is. And again, I'm playing some of these videos back, so if you didn't see them the first time, they are all on our channel. You can go back and check them out. And if it's choppy, you can watch the full video. So here we go.
Does knowledge puff up? Well, the question, does knowledge puff up, extracted from 1 Corinthians, being cautious that knowledge puffs up, has caused some to become anti in their stance for apologetics. Oh, I don't need knowledge because knowledge puffs up. Well, that is an erroneous way of understanding that idea. Knowledge can puff up, but we wouldn't even know that knowledge puffs up unless we had the knowledge that knowledge puffs up. So when Paul's writing about knowledge puffing up, he's not saying that knowledge is bad in and of itself, just like money's not bad in and of itself. Somebody who learns to go beat people up with answers, that can create a puffed up sense of self where we look down on others. But we need knowledge. If we took that to its extreme, said, oh, knowledge puffs up, so I can't gain knowledge, well, then we couldn't learn. And then that would mean we couldn't love the Lord our God with all of our heart, soul, strength, and mind. That would mean that we wouldn't know that we're to love God with all of our heart, soul, strength, and mind. So when we hear verses like knowledge puffs up, we shouldn't think that that means there we have proof that apologetics isn't necessary. No, we are to love God with all of our heart, soul, strength, and mind, and we are to love Him through the life of the mind. We need to just realize that through our knowledge, it should make us humble, not puffed up.
Welcome back. We are going through my top 5 1-minute apologist videos of 2019 as we're testing our live stream. This is also going out as a podcast, so if you're listening to the podcast, you're kind of getting some of the live testing as we're doing that. And we really just appreciate all of the wonderful feedback that you're giving us here in the chat about some of how it's working or how you're hearing it, and that's really we really appreciate that. So we're going to move on to our next video. This is number 2 in our top 5. We're counting down the top 5 videos. Number 5 was a video from Alisa Childers that we did in New York City with the CIA event with Cross-Examined about the atonement being cosmic child abuse. Number 4 was with David Wood answering the question, what's the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath? And he's got a really great story that kind of goes along with that, so you can check out that video on our channel. The next one that we just watched was, does knowledge puff up? Bobby was answering that question. And this next video is on the list. Number 1, because I think it's so prevalent, just as I'm talking with people of different worldviews, particularly atheists, they tend to appeal to science, particularly when it comes to existence. We had somebody, an atheist, do a great response video to this one. So if you get a chance, you can check that out. Bionic Dance did a response video to this one. But Bobby was pulling from a book by J.P. Moreland of the same title, What is Scientism? And some of the comments on this video are really good, and some of them are not so good. So if you're watching this and this is the first time you've heard of this video, What is Scientism?, head on over to the comment section and just read some of them. They're great. But this video was really awesome. I think it's something that's extremely prevalent in our culture right now, the idea that science is the only way to know things, and I really appreciated Bobby's answer. So here we go, number 2.
What is scientism? There are many people that will accuse Christians of being anti-science. And as a believer, I would say there's nothing in the scriptures that would lead us to think we should be anti-science. But I am anti-scientism. What is scientism? Scientism is basically the belief that science, or the hard sciences, can be the end-all answer to everything. That science can answer all of our big questions. And what ends up happening there is things like faith and belief and trust and all that just gets thrown into the category of you can never really know that. So all we're going to do is focus on what we can know through science. But there's a lot of things that we can't just prove scientifically, right? The statement that you can only prove things scientifically is not a scientific statement. That's a statement that we would have to philosophically show. So scientism is basically an abuse of science. It takes it all the way to the extremes of saying the only way to know anything is through science. And that is not the only way that we can understand things. We can understand things philosophically and through other measures.
Well, if you're just joining us, I am not Bobby Conway. I am Tim Hall, the executive producer for the 1 Minute Apologist. We're taking this opportunity to do some testing for our live stream. We are going to be doing some new live stream events throughout the year, and so we want to just take this opportunity to test that. So with that, I thought it would be fun to give you my top 5 1 Minute Apologist videos of 2019. Maybe you have a favorite 1 Minute Apologist video that we released in the last year. You can go ahead and leave it in the comments. If you are listening to this on a podcast, you can leave us an email. You can shoot me an email at info@oneminuteapologist.com with your favorite video. So we appreciate everyone giving us the feedback for the stream and how it's going. I know that the ticker on the bottom says that we're going to be answering questions. We will be answering lots of questions this year, particularly on live stream. So again, we're just testing this. We're making sure that you can see all of the different pieces on the screen, that the videos are working as we put things through the different software that we're using. So this is just an opportunity for us to test and do something fun and have a little bit of fun. So speaking of fun, this is our number 1 video. This is my favorite video. It just released today. I had the chance to be there live when they were recording it. That's how I knew it was coming. If you didn't get a chance to watch this video, I would definitely head over to the channel and watch it again and again and again. It's really funny. One of the reasons that I love this video is a lot of the feedback that Bobby and I get from people that know Bobby or that have watched some of the videos is that Bobby kind of seems like he is a really smart guy, but he seems like he's kind of uptight sometimes. And anybody that knows Bobby personally knows that can't be further from the truth. He is a super fun guy. He's always joking around. He's laughing constantly. Whenever we get together, we're just, man, it is just a great time. And that doesn't always come across on some of the videos. And so this video I thought was just a great portrayal of kind of the funner side of Bobby, and that's why it is at number 1 on my list. So go ahead and take a look at this video. And again, this video just dropped today, so there's a good chance that you haven't seen it. Maybe you're watching it for the first time right here on the screen. So here we go. My number 1 video, What is Ad-lib Apologetics is the title of it. Here we go.
Guys, really thank you for being on this program to really talk about the importance of kind of ad-lib apologetics. What's that look like? Kind of that freestyle.
Looks like this.
Yeah.
1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute apologist is on.
Ready? Improv. Yo. Spit the verse, rock the converse, sign your shirt, put the devil in the hearse, not literally, metaphorically. This is apologetics lyrically. I spin it like a dryer, 1 minute, I'm not Richard Pryor, but it's still funny. We defeat the liar, not with money, but the truth. From here to Sunday, yes, yes, y'all, this is how we do it. Check it out now, you know we coming through it. This is the MC, there's no DJ. Props to my man Bobby Conway. He talks to Mary Jo Sharp and even John Mark. People out so you can witness the people wherever you go, even at Walmart. In the dark, you can spark the light. Hello, how you doing? Now we got a rhyme. Give a credible answer to your neighbor. Yes, yes, y'all got the rhymes with flavor. About the Savior, Jesus the Christ. Yes, indeed, it's like beans and rice. It goes real nice, sweet, slice, precise. And check it out. Hold up.
And you can get it. Just keep working it. Keep working it.
Yeah, we can keep on going.
Come on.
I didn't say enough specific stuff.
Listen. Hey, this is ad lib here. We're freelancing
He totally
here.
punked out.
You know, you guys are doing good.
I want to
here.
do more specific
I didn't drop the
things.
beat. He dropped the lyrics.
Well, as I said, that video was hilarious. It was funny. Those guys, David Wood and Vocab Malone, are just great guys to hang out with, and just a whole lot of fun. Just on a more serious note coming out of that, David Wood's brother, if you saw on our Facebook page and our Twitter channel, is in the hospital right now. He's on life support. Just keep him in your prayers, and we're really just praying for a miracle and a full recovery for David's brother. But David's a really great guy, so thank you so much for tuning in, helping us test out our live streaming capabilities here. We're going to continue to do maybe a couple more tests throughout the week, so you tuning in and kind of giving us some feedback as we're doing it is really helpful. We want to make sure that kind of when we actually have guests on, or when Bobby's doing an in-person Q&A, that it's not choppy, and we're trying to get as clean of a signal as possible. So I'm just taking the opportunity to play with a couple different settings and make sure that everything is smooth when we roll into the next year as we're doing these live stream events. So appreciate you tuning in and helping out. Do that for us. And without further ado, we are going to head out, and we will see you on the channel soon. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. And we will see you in 2020. Thanks.